I really didn't want to make a video about Conor McGregor and kick him while he's down, and honestly the guy seemed great, especially when he was active in the UFC, and maybe we shouldn't be pushing the pain on someone who's already experienced so much hardship. I guess never mind. We'll pick up that one where we left off, and we're going to continue discussing the downfall of Conor McGregor. The same guy that was once the face of the UFC is now the face of several lawsuits and allegations. He's in the media for everything but fighting, and the business that he's founded doesn't even want him to be the face of their business anymore. So how did this happen? What kind of crazy stunts did Conor McGregor have to pull off to get to this level, and will it continue the spiral downward? We're gonna cover it all in this video, with the rise of Conor McGregor, how incredibly popular he was at the height of his UFC career, the signs that started to show to his downfall, and now where he's at. Comment below if you think we'll see the return of Conor McGregor in any form in the UFC or another fighting league. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely idolized Conor during his featherweight reign in the UFC. The Irish superstar had a charisma about him that he was able to back up each and every day, whether that was with his interviews, his trash talking, or in the ring knocking out opponents. And it all started at a young age, from a time where Conor did not have much. He was working a plumbing job and was even on food stamps leading up to his UFC fights. That was the humble Conor, the one that would put his head down each and every day just to grind through. Once he came into the UFC though, things started to change. Dana White and the promotion realized just what kind of star they had. The left hand that he was sniping people with was able to knock out any opponent, and especially the likes of Jose Aldo with the 13-second knockout. On top of that, Conor wasn't shying away from any fight. He was calling out everyone and got his chance to fight in a higher weight class against Nick Diaz, another superstar from the UFC roster. He then made a leap outside of the cage, which had never been done before. Conor McGregor was able to set up a boxing match with one of the best in the boxing world in Floyd Mayweather. This was the biggest event in UFC history, eclipsing over 4.3 million pay-per-view buys and making it the second highest event in history altogether. The boxing match brought in just about $500 million, and both Mayweather and Conor McGregor got out with a hefty paycheck. And while standing at the top of both the UFC and the entertainment world, it also allows one to have the furthest to fall.
When that gold belt was around my waist, when my mother has a big mansion, my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week, when my kids have everything they ever want, then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind. Yeah? I'll die a crazy old man.
Money wasn't a problem for Conor McGregor. He was not only raking in millions in fight and pay-per-view buys, but he expanded his reach. His own whiskey brand, Proper No. 12, was shooting off like a rocket and was eventually sold to Proximo Sports for over $600 million. Another massive influx of cash to the UFC star. But all that money and cash can get you a little too drunk and a little too complacent. And this is where we started seeing cracks in Conor's demeanor and his outlook. With all these incredible rises in the UFC, not all of them have led to consistent outcomes. I'm talking about the likes of Daniel Cormier, GSP, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. People who have left the sport on top and never looked back. The opposite can be said for Conor McGregor, and none was as evident as a switch in mood during the build-up with his mega fight against Khabib. There's banter, and then there's calling your opponent's wife a goat. That's the type of jabs that Conor McGregor was setting towards Khabib, and one thing led to another. The biggest incident during this whole ordeal was Conor running at Khabib's bus and actually throwing a chair, breaking the window. This instigated a whole nother level of bad blood between the fighters, and during the whole time you could tell that the Dagestani fighter Khabib was not taking this lightly and actually wanted to go into a full-on brawl with Conor and his posse. His friends and managers made sure that he stayed inside the bus, not allowing him to go out and potentially start a brawl, because if that happened, I'm not sure we would have had the fight that we've had today.
Open the door. No! Open the door.
After a mental battle, the real one began, and it was Conor who couldn't slow down Khabib, leading into his 4th round submission. That was the beginning of the end for Conor, as he would add on 2 more losses on his record to Dustin Poirier, marking another spiral that was hard to imagine for the once glorified superstar. The allegations. Nothing was ever written in stone for Conor. Everything was managed by him, and he always found a way back. Everything from being roided up after his fight with Dustin Poirier to dragging Michael Chandler along for a fight for almost 2 years. I don't think Conor ever thought about coming back though. He wasn't physically or mentally ready, and on the horizon was these lawsuits. Sure, as a superstar, you can get away with a couple of things, even if they're pretty bad. Slapping a random dude at a bar that was minding his own attention, yeah, he did that.
Now y'all see why Floyd walked right through his uppercut with a smile on his face. According to TMZ, authorities have seen the footage and an incident report was filed following the altercation in the bar. It's added it's unclear whether or not McGregor was charged for his part in the altercation.
Pulling on the ponytails of a random girl in front of your wife? Yep, did that too. But that's where money and power starts to catch up. You believe you can get away with pretty much anything, and then the world and karma comes back to shut you right up. Conor McGregor is currently in the midst of a huge lawsuit, claiming that the woman was sexually assaulted, and everything was just he said, she said until Conor lost in court, and that's when things started to unravel even further. His own whiskey brand, Proper No. 12, completely dropped him as the brand ambassador for their drink. He's had other fallouts due to the lawsuit, including this video game developer IO Interactive, and on top of that, he'll have to pay $250,000 to the woman who won the suit. The biggest thing about this though is his future and the collective millions of fans who thought he could make a comeback. I was rooting for this fight against Michael Chandler, thinking that it would be the perfect get-right fight and put him back into a steady cadence. Yet with all these suits and all this extra stuff around him, I'm not sure what stands for the future of Conor McGregor. Not only is there uncertainty with the fights that he has ahead of him, there's also a lot of uncertainty with his business and adventures. Sure, he's probably has hundreds of millions of dollars stowed away, and he's earned that money. But I think the world, and especially fight fans, saw how much potential he had, and the fact that he's still in his prime and could have made even a bigger impact. Well, now I think Conor is perhaps at the bottom of where he could be. What's crazy is that he's still in his mid-30s, like I said before. That's less than half the time a person can live, and to me, he has maybe a little bit of a chance to come back. I would like to believe Conor still has a fight or two left in him, and if not, he can be a huge asset to the UFC, spreading out that awareness to the rest of the world. He can come back for his wife and the kids that idolize him and that have been loyal to him throughout this whole entire time. He can come back to the nation that he once held on his back and that are probably still riding with him today. And he can finally come back for the millions of fans around the world who believed and loved his swagger in the cage. So, do you think that he has the ability to come back and become somewhat relevant again in the future, whether that's fighting or just being a presence in the UFC? I'm curious whether fight fans actually like Conor McGregor or if they're sort of done with his antics and sort of want to forget about him. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in with us on this video, and as always, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure to stay hydrated out there. Subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you next time on Knockout TV.
An unhealthy obsession with spending money, but I have a healthy obsession with making it.